Picture yourself walking out to your patio and harvesting zucchini after zucchini from a single container, more than you can even give away to the neighbors. That is exactly what we are working toward today. Most people think zucchini needs a sprawling garden bed to produce anything worthwhile, and that is just not true. I have been growing massive harvests in containers for years using a vertical method that solves almost every problem zucchini growers complain about. No more plants taking over your space. No more losing entire harvests to disease. Today, I am walking you through the whole process from container selection to your first big harvest. And stay until the end, because I have got a pollination trick that can double your fruit set when you are growing in a small space. Growing zucchini vertically in containers opens up possibilities most gardeners never consider. Balconies, patios, driveways, anywhere you can fit a good-sized pot and get decent sun. You control the soil, you control the drainage, and you get way better airflow than any ground planting could offer. By the time we wrap up here, you will have everything you need to grow more zucchini in a single container than most people get from an entire garden bed. It starts with picking the right pot and the right variety. So let me show you what actually works. I will be straight with you. Container size trips up more people than almost anything else with this method. Go too small, and your zucchini will struggle all season. Constantly thirsty, constantly hungry, never producing the way it should. You want a container that holds at least 15 gallons, and honestly, 20 is better if you can manage it. Depth matters too. Aim for at least 18 inches so those roots have room to stretch. I have grown zucchini successfully in fabric grow bags, plastic nursery pots, half whiskey barrels, even 5-gallon buckets in a pinch, though production suffers in anything that small. Whatever container you choose. Drainage holes are non-negotiable. Zucchini roots sitting in waterlogged soil will rot faster than you can diagnose the problem. If your container does not have holes, drill some yourself. 4 or 5 half-inch holes in the bottom takes 2 minutes and saves your entire crop. Variety selection matters just as much as container size. You want a bush-type zucchini, not a vining variety. Bush types grow upright naturally, which makes training them vertically so much easier. Look for varieties like Black Beauty, Raven, Emerald Delight, or Patio Star, which was actually bred specifically for container growing. Check the seed packet or plant tag for words like bush, compact, or space-saving. Skip anything described as vining or trailing unless you want to fight your plant all season long. One more thing about varieties. Some zucchini leaves have a natural silvery pattern that looks alarming if you do not know what you are seeing. That is just genetics, not disease. Powdery mildew. The actual problem shows up as fuzzy white patches, usually starting on the undersides of leaves. Learn the difference early and save yourself a lot of unnecessary worry. You have got your container and your variety sorted out. Now let us talk about the support system that makes this whole method work. The beauty here is you do not need anything fancy. Most of what you need is probably already lying around your garage. I use half-inch electrical conduit as my main stake. It is cheap, it is sturdy, and it lasts forever. A single 6-foot piece costs a couple dollars at any hardware store. Bamboo stakes work fine too, or a wooden tomato stake, or really any sturdy pole that will not snap when it is loaded with fruit. You need about 4 feet of height above the soil line, so account for however much you are bearing for stability. Get that stake in deep and solid. I sink mine at least 12 inches into the container, more if the pot is deep enough. Pound it in with a mallet or a hammer. Before you plant, not after. Trying to add support once the zucchini is established means risking root damage and a wobbly stake that might topple when you need it most. For tying material, I use soft garden twine or strips of old t-shirt. Anything that will not cut into the stem as it grows. Avoid wire, thin string, or anything rigid. The stem thickens fast, and you do not want your ties strangling the plant. Position your stake about 2 inches from the center of the container. You want it close enough to support the main stem, but not so close that you are planting directly against it. That little bit of space gives you room to tie without crushing anything. With your stake set, you are ready to get your zucchini in the ground. Soil mix matters more in containers than it does in garden beds, because your plant has nowhere else to go hunting for nutrients or moisture. I use a high-quality potting mix, not garden soil, combined with about 20% compost by volume. Garden soil compacts in containers and drains poorly. Potting mix stays fluffy and lets roots breathe. Fill your container to within about 2 inches of the rim. Any higher and water just runs off instead of soaking in. I like to moisten the mix before planting so it is evenly damp throughout, not bone dry at the bottom and wet on top. When you transplant your seedling, plant it slightly deeper than it sat in its nursery pot, right up to those first seed leaves if you can. Zucchini can root from buried stem tissue, so planting deep gives you a sturdier base to work with. Finish with 2 to 3 inches of mulch around the base. Straw, shredded leaves, or wood chips all work. Mulch keeps moisture consistent, moderate soil temperature, and prevents that splashback that spreads disease. Leave a small gap around the stem itself so you are not holding moisture directly against it. If you are finding this useful and want more guides like it, I send one free to your inbox every week. Container gardening, maximizing small spaces, timing your plantings. Link is in the description. Let us keep going. Here's where the magic happens and where most people lose their way. Zucchini grows fast, and I mean genuinely fast. You will go from a small transplant on about 4 inches above the soil line as soon as the plant is established. This gets it oriented toward the stake from the start, rather than letting it lean wherever it wants. As the plant grows, add a new tie roughly every 4 to 6 inches of vertical growth. Do not wait until it is flopping over. By then you are fighting the plant instead of guiding it. I check my container zucchini every few days during peak growth and add ties as needed. It takes maybe 30 seconds per plant, which provides support while allowing some movement and growth. The growing tip, that point at the top where all the new leaves emerge, will keep reaching upward on its own. Your job is just making sure the weight of the developing fruit does not pull the whole plant sideways. By midsummer, you will have a vertical column of zucchini that looks completely different from the sprawling mess most people end up with. Container zucchini dries out faster than anything planted in the ground. That is the trade-off for all the benefits you get. During hot weather, you might be watering every single day, sometimes twice. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If it feels dry at that depth, water thoroughly until it drains from the bottom. I cannot overstate how important consistent moisture is for zucchini production. Irregular watering leads to stressed plants, drop flowers, and misshapen fruit. That blossom end rot you might have seen on squash comes from the same inconsistent moisture that causes it in tomatoes. Keep the soil evenly moist, not soggy, not dried out, just consistently damp. Feeding follows a similar rhythm. Container plants burn through nutrients faster because there is less soil to hold reserves. I mix a slow-release organic granular fertilizer into my potting mix at planting time, enough to get the plant established and growing strong. Then I start supplementing with diluted liquid fertilizer, fish emulsion, or a balanced organic blend, every 2 weeks once the first flowers appear. Watch your plant for signs of hunger. Pale leaves or slowing growth usually mean it is time to feed. Yellow lower leaves can indicate nitrogen deficiency. Zucchini is a heavy feeder and will tell you when it needs more, but staying ahead of those signals keeps production steady rather than letting it stall and restart. One thing I have learned the hard way: do not overfeed with nitrogen once fruiting starts. As your zucchini grows, Vertically, the lower leaves get shaded out by the canopy above them. They are not doing much photosynthesis anymore, but they are creating a humid microclimate perfect for fungal problems. I remove lower leaves progressively as the plant grows. Once a leaf is below the lowest fruit and mostly shaded, it comes off. Cut close to the main stem with clean pruners or a sharp knife. Do not tear, which creates ragged wounds that heal slowly. This ongoing pruning keeps airflow moving through the plant, makes it easier to spot pests and disease early, and directs the plant's energy toward producing fruit instead of maintaining leaves that are not contributing. By midsummer, my container zucchini have a distinctive look, bare stem at the bottom, productive growth and fruit in the middle and top, with that growing tip still reaching upward. Remove any leaf immediately if you see actual powdery mildew. Bag them and throw them away to prevent spreading spores around your growing area. Even with the best setup, problems happen. Here is what to look for and how to respond before you lose your harvest. Wilting. Despite moist soil usually means root problems, either rot from poor drainage or damage from pests. Check your drainage holes first. If they are clogged, clear them immediately. If the soil smells sour or the roots look brown and mushy when you gently investigate, root rot has set in. Prevention is your only real option here. Make sure drainage is working before you plant. Flowers dropping without forming fruit is usually a pollination issue, especially common in container gardens on balconies or patios, where pollinators might not visit regularly. We will cover the fix for this in the bonus tip. But for now, just know that drop flowers do not necessarily mean a sick plant. Blossom end rot shows up as a dark sunken spot on the bottom of developing fruit. Even out your watering immediately and remove affected fruit. New fruit should come in clean once moisture is consistent. Powdery mildew appears as white fuzzy patches, usually starting on older leaves. Remove affected leaves, improve airflow with pruning, and avoid getting water on the foliage. Neem oil or a baking soda spray can slow it down if you catch it early. Squash vine borers are less common in containers than in ground plantings, but they can still find you. Look for sawdust-like frass at the base of the stem and wilting, despite adequate water. If you catch a borer early, you can sometimes slit the stem carefully and remove it. Then bury the wounded section to encourage new rooting. Prevention with row cover early in the season is easier than treatment. Yellow leaves working up from the bottom often just mean the plant is pulling nutrients from old growth to feed new production. Feed with balanced fertilizer and remove the yellowed leaves. As long as the top growth looks healthy, you are probably fine. This one trick rescued my container zucchini harvest after a frustrating season where I had tons of flowers and almost no fruit. When you are growing in a small space, especially on a balcony or patio, pollinators might not find your plants reliably. The solution is simple. You become the pollinator. Zucchini has separate male and female flowers on the same plant. Males have a straight, thin stem. Females have a tiny zucchini-shaped swelling right behind the flower. Both open in the morning and close by afternoon, so timing matters. Pick a freshly opened male flower. Peel back the petals to expose the pollen-covered stamen in the center, and gently dab that pollen directly onto the stigma inside a female flower. You can also use a small paintbrush to transfer pollen if you want to save the male flower. One male can pollinate several females. I do this every morning during peak flowering season when I am growing in containers. Takes maybe 2 minutes and absolutely guarantees fruit set, regardless of whether any bees show up. My container zucchini production jumped dramatically once I started hand pollinating consistently. It feels a little silly the first time you do it, but the results speak for themselves. If you have made it this far, you clearly want to grow more food in whatever space you have. I send one free detailed gardening guide every week straight to your inbox. The link is in the description, and I really think you will find it useful. That is everything you need to grow massive zucchini in containers using the vertical method. If you try this or have your own container tips, drop them in the comments. I always learn something from you. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, and thanks for watching. Now go find a container and get growing.